whopping 70% of you described yourself when I did this survey as overweight or obese. That's actually quite a shocking figure, isn't it? And this video is for you if you're in that 70% that describe yourself as overweight or obese. And I'm going to talk about how to lose weight over 40 if you believe yourself to be overweight or obese. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50 get in fantastic shape. And I want to help everyone get in the best shape that they possibly can. And I know so many of you actually message me, you leave comments and you ask me, are my programs for you if you're overweight and obese? And the simple answer is yes. And what about the strategies that I'm talking about? Are they going to work for you? So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is those descriptions, overweight or obese, because actually they're not all that helpful. And I tell you the reason why, because they're based on categories for body mass index. So you can either be underweight, you can be a healthy weight, you can be overweight, or you can be obese or severely obese. Those are body mass index categories, and they're clinical categories. However, it's now been established that body mass index is actually not a good way of finding out if you're a healthy size or not. And the reason being is those categories were developed mainly for white Caucasian people, and they actually don't work for other ethnicities, and they don't work either if you've got a lot of muscle on you, because it might be that you have quite a healthy body fat percentage. The reason that you weigh more is because you've actually got a lot of muscle on you. The first thing that I recommend you do is actually establish if you're a healthy size or not. And the easiest way to do that is either your waist to height ratio or your waist to hip ratio. So your waist to height ratio, you're going to take your waist measurement and you're going to divide that by your height, and that's going to give you a figure. What you want to be looking for is anything below 0.5. In other words, your waist needs to be less than half your height measurement. I've got a 26-inch waist and I'm 63 inches tall, which is 5'3". So that gives me a ratio of 0.41, which means I'm in the healthy range. So you can see there, for example, if you're really tall, you can afford to have a bigger waist, can't you? Now, the other way of doing it is actually your waist to hip ratio. And for women, you need to be anything under 0.85. So you take your waist measurement and you divide that by your hip measurement. So in my case, my waist is 26 inches, my hip is 38 inches. So my ratio is 0.68. And as I said, you need to be under 0.85 to be in a healthy range. Once you've established, are you in a healthy range or not, let's talk about what you can do about it if you fall into the category of unhealthy. Well, would it surprise you to know that you actually do exactly the same as anyone else? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is strength training, because there's a big misunderstanding around that. And I see lots of comments where people say, oh, I don't think I should be doing strength training until I've lost the weight. And that is absolutely not the case. You need to do strength training to lose body fat, no matter what your size. So even if you're more than 200 pounds, you think of yourself as obese, whatever it is, curvy, plus size, you still need to be doing strength training, because strength training is actually going to build your metabolism. And when you reach over the age of 40, you've lost your metabolism. So strength training is going to be the key to your success. And you do it in exactly the same way as anyone else at any other weight. So you're going to focus on compound movements. Those movements use use multiple muscle groups. So those are your squats, your deadlifts, your lunging movements if you can do them, but you can modify them, your push movements and your pull movements, and even your carry movements. Carry movements are absolutely fantastic. If you learn nothing else from this video, please don't fear incorporating strength training. Now, the other thing, when you're a heavier size, you do need to get lots of protein in to support the muscle growth that's going to help you build metabolism and therefore burn more fat. So you do need to support the muscle growth with high protein eating. But what I would say, you need to set your calories at a level that's appropriate for you. So what's appropriate for me for weight loss as a woman, and I'm 120 pounds, if you're 200 pounds or more, that's anything above 95 kilos if you're working in kilos, you do need to make sure that you're not taking your calories too low. But your calories are also calculated on your activity levels, but it might be, for example, so my partner's about that kind of weight, he takes in 2,000 calories, 2,400 calories for fat loss because he's 6'2" and he's really active. So it does depend. I'm going to link up here a video I've made all about how to calculate your calories and macros, but that's the key difference, is when you're thinking about fat loss for women in that weight category, you need to take your calories higher than somebody like me for fat loss, where I need to take my calories quite a lot lower. So that's the key difference, but the approach is still the same. You want to be taking 1 gram of protein for every pound in your body weight, or if you weigh over 170 pounds, go for your goal body weight. If your goal body weight is say 160 pounds, do 160 grams of protein. That's what you need to do, and that's per day. That's the amount of protein you take in per day. But do have a look at that video that I've made all about how to calculate and track your own calories and macros. So next, I'm going to talk about high intensity interval training. And I know many people on the heavier side, they worry about this because they think, oh, you know, I can't jump around. And maybe if you've got knee problems, that kind of thing. But actually, high intensity interval training does not mean high impact. It's the intensity that's important. So you can do high intensity interval training that's low impact. So you can use any piece of equipment. It could be a stationary bike, it could be an elliptical, they're low impact, it could be a rowing machine, or you can do follow along workouts. And inside my app, I actually have follow along workouts that are high intensity interval training, but they're low impact and they give low impact modifications. So if you're not ready to be jumping around yet, because maybe you're in that kind of unhealthy category and you want to get to the healthy category, you do not need to be jumping around to make that activity intense. So that's 30 seconds of really intense activity, 30 seconds to a minute walking pace. You just do that for maybe starting off at 10 to 15 minutes. If you're not currently doing that, that's actually quite a lot. So 10 to 15 minutes of high intensity interval training, it's really quite tough physically. So do go ahead and do that. Don't fear it, and leave a comment or ask me questions if you've got any concerns about that. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is getting your steps in. So when you're trying to get into a healthy size range, what's going to get you there is all the things that I've talked about, but it's actually also about how much energy you're using through the day. And unfortunately, and this might be one of the reasons why you've got to how you've got to, is we can find ourselves too sedentary. So what we can do about it, without actually putting in more structured exercise, is just simply walking or moving around a lot more. So it doesn't have to be walking even. It can be things like gardening, housework, but general activity. And if you've got like a tracking watch, you want to be looking for about 7,000 steps or more per day, because that's going to get you healthier, it's going to get you active. Do let me know in the comment section whether you found this video helpful. I just really wanted to make it because if 70% of you think that you're an unhealthy weight, or you're overweight, or you're obese, there's kind of a problem, isn't there? And maybe you've been reassured by using one of those ratios, the waist to hip ratio or the waist to height ratio, and you've actually discovered you're healthy. But if you're not healthy, you can definitely do something about it, and it's never too late to get in shape.